Alright guys, I just wanted to do this video now while this is all in bits and looking like it's been taken out the back of a skip, just so I can show you what's going on here before I tidy all this up, because it'll be a lot easier for me to show you when it's all hanging its guts out like this. So basically, starting from the beginning, what I've done is I've brought these LED feed wires up from the bottom of the wheel rather than going for the top, because I didn't want to drill through the top of the wheel and send wires through here and stuff. I just thought it would either get messy or you could get water in there and all sorts. So I didn't want to feed them from the top area. So what I've done is I've come down to the bottom, and basically you need two holes. So you've got one hole here, which is right in the corner of the battery, and you've got to be really careful drilling this. Same this side here. I went basically as small as I could get away with while still getting the wires through. There's 3 wires in each strip, so you just need a hole big enough for that. And then you need another hole where this edge here, this actually has a return underneath which goes in this way. So you've got to drill this way to get through the other side of this, and then up to get through into the battery compartment. So through here and up here, and then basically these two, one for the back strip, one for the front. These two, so these are just all hanging out at the moment, feed all the way up and come out at the top of the wheel where there's a nice big handy hole there. The back one is used for the batteries and the motor wire, but there's another identical at the front, and you can feed them up through there. So basically you're going to have 2 from this side, you'll have 2 from the other side, and then all I did was up the top here I've just spliced each pair together. So say for example, let's look at this one here. So this is where the 2 rears strips come up. They come up through the hole, and I've just spliced them together into one feed. And the same with the fronts, they're just spliced together. So you've got 2 strips, one from each side, coming up, they join, they splice together into the other one. And all I've got here, these are the original connectors that come with the strips. These are the 2 controllers, one for front, one for rear. They feed off of a 5-volt feed, which is taken straight from the board, which is basically this first empty socket, plug, whatever you like. There's nothing in the board as standard. I just soldered straight onto the board, but it's the first one next to the screw that holds the board on. That was very kindly taken from the picture that someone posted on the forum. So that's that. So yeah, just a 5-volt feed coming off there, secured with a cable tie, because this isn't going to be too strong, this, because there's no plug on it. You don't want to be having any flex at all in these wires. So this now is secured to all these other fan wires, and that doesn't move anywhere. It's solid. That comes up, and then that's teed off. Because I'm using 2 controllers, again I've just spliced 2 feeds off of that. So you've got the 1 feed and the 2 feed. These are mini Dean's connectors. These are brilliant, guys. I've used these loads of times in the past. They work exactly the same as your usual Deans that you're probably used to, but they're a lot smaller, and they can take more than enough current than what we're using here. And they're just really good, reliable, discreet, small, easy to solder up. They work really well. So yeah, it just comes around here, and then obviously back into the LEDs, as I say. So what you end up with, try and do this with one hand. So what you get is your fronts, which will be independently controllable from the rear, because I only really want white on the front. I don't want any other fancy colours, but I do want front and rear different colours. I don't want them all the same. So I'll just use a simple pattern like this on the front. That's probably what I'll end up with. And the ends of these strips will just terminate. They'll tuck up under this metal bar here that the headlight is secured to, so that'll make it quite neat and tidy behind there. I've sealed the ends of these with adhesive lined heat shrink. It's really good stuff. Once that's on, that's totally watertight, that is. So that end will just tuck up under here once I get all these fitted up properly. And then the rear, virtually, well, it's identical really. That's just the pattern I'll be using for the rear probably. And again, the end will just tuck up under this metal bar. I still haven't decided yet whether I'm going to come right up to the top here or whether I'm going to terminate further down here, because as you can see the mudguard tapers outwards and there's not enough room at the top there for the width of these strips, which are about 12mm, something like that. So I've either got to cut the mudguard a little bit, the back edge of the mudguard, to allow the strip to sit behind it, or I've got to terminate them further down here somewhere. I don't know yet. I'm erring towards going right to the top, to be honest with you. But yeah, we'll see. I'll get those fitted up and stuck down properly. But that's the gist of it. It's not difficult, guys. It's just a bit of time, that's all. But I just wanted it as neat as possible. And once all this is stuck up and hidden away properly, there'll be no connections up the top here. It'll just look totally stock. You know, I won't have any plugs or bits of wires or anything going around sort of this area or anything like that. So plus, if anything, it's going to be more waterproof because you've got much less chance of rain getting in down the bottom here than you have having it mounted up here somewhere, or with your wires coming through here. But it's up to you. This way is obviously a lot more grief, it's a lot more hassle and time, but personally I think it's a bit neater and less likely to give problems. Again, the same down the bottom. All of the connections down the bottom are done with this adhesive lined heat shrink. It's brilliant stuff. Again, I've used this loads of times. It's not as cheap as normal regular heat shrink, but it's really good if you need a strong waterproof joint, because once it dries, once it's cools down, it's really tough as well. So that's what I've got down the bottom here. I don't even know if I can get to it here. Let's have a quick look. There you go. So they basically enter into the bottom of the wheel. So yeah, it's just a bit of time, that's all. And just having the stuff on hand. I mean, much of this I already had. I mean, I always keep Dean's on the shelf. I've got plenty of heat shrink. Yeah, most of it I had. Insulating tape. I mean, I just wrap the wires that come up through the strips with that. I don't like insulating tape as a rule, but if I'm just sheathing wires with it, it's fine. This is all heat shrinked obviously here, and soldered. I'd never like using insulation on actual joints. It's just a lot neater and easier, if I'm honest, using heat shrink. Trying to get a roll of masking tape in here and wrap it round with your fingers is the right faff. I mean, obviously I'm keeping all these wires as short as possible because I don't like excess cable either. So this is about as short as I could go, but still get to it with a small heat torch to get the heat shrink done. So that's it. I'll get it all mounted up, get all these controllers stuck down inside and tidied up. And then I'll probably just splice a second video into this video, to be honest with you, and do it all in one hit. But yeah, stay with us, guys, and I'll when I've done the rest of it, I'll splice it in, and we'll see what it looks like. Just to show you the wiring tidied up, chucked it all right in the front section here. So right behind here is 2 controllers and all the associated wiring. All fits in there nice and snug. Nothing covering the fans. The only wire that cuts across is this power feed wire, but it's well out of the way of the intake of the fans, which is on top here. Yeah, it fits in there nicely, quite neat and discreet. So when I get the strips stuck on and sorted out, I'll cut to that. Okay, so next stage, we've got the panels back on, we've got the pedals on, we've got the top covered down. Basically the wheel is ready to ride, to be honest with you. All the cables have been cable tied up, they're all secure. Everything's been tidied up. So I just thought I'd do this quick bit. You've got a bin full of shit there. That's from this bleeding thing. So what we've got, we're all up and running. Let's turn it on and you'll see there's a little bit of a delay and then they start. So they're all fixed on around the back. As you see that the ends of these are just obviously tucked under that black bar, as I said earlier. There's no wires going up here or up here. That's where they finish. That's the end of the strip. So it's quite neat. I decided to go for fitting the mudguard actually, rather than cut them strips and finish them sort of further down here. I don't know really. I just thought it'd be nice to have it even. I don't know. I'm a bit weird like that, but so the backs match the fronts. It is a pain. I mean, getting the angles cut on this mudguard is really tricky. There's no way you can measure it. You've just got to do the best you can to keep that mudguard as tight to the strip as you can without touching it, and it's tricky. You just got to go out with the Dremel, careful, softly, on and off. You don't need to do anything down here, that's okay. It's just this top section here, and eventually you'll get there. But that's come out alright actually. I reckon that looks okay. Same with this side. You've just got some really weird compound curves going on there where you've got to follow the strip. And as I said, you can't mark it out, you can't measure it. It's a by eye job, this one. But yeah, I don't know. I reckon that looks alright. It looks a bit shit at the moment because the wheel's full of dust. I wouldn't normally video a wheel like this, but I haven't cleaned it since I last went out for a ride, so it looks a bit manky. And the flash on the camera is picking up all manner of crap. It looks a lot better off camera, to be honest with you. So yeah, that's the back all done. The front, Jesus, these things are bright. I'll probably have to turn them down a bit. I mean, they're mental in my eyeballs at the moment. Same with the front. Tops are just tucked under that black bar. Again, you know, no wires, no shit going on back here. So yeah, they look all right to me. The only thing that annoys me with these is that I'd like to have them sort of a bit more stealthy, in terms of like a tint or something. If I turn this off, so I'm trying to do everything upside down here. You see how much they stick out? They just, it's like bollocks on a bulldog to me, that is. I mean, they look slapped on and they stick out, and the back's the same. I just don't like it really. It looks like aftermarket. Some idiots decided to buy some strip lights and slap them on his wheel, which of course that isn't what's happened here, but that's what it looks like. So I just like to, like, you know, tint them or tone them down a bit, because the LEDs are obviously white, the surrounds are white, and it just stands out. It's not too bad when the wheel's on. But yeah, I don't know, it's a bit circus to me. They're just a bit standoutish. So what I did initially, I did put this on the forum, but I might as well say it on this video as well. Let's park that for a minute. I'll show you what I had. I had some of this stuff. This is what the boy racers would use for tinting their backlights to make them look, you know, bad blood and all that lot, you know. And it works really well. I tell you what, this comes out really nice on these strips. I did a test piece of strip underneath here, which I've taken off now, but there was I just did like a 2-inch strip just to see what it looked like, and it went on really nice, and it coats really well, and it looked absolutely exactly what I was after. It brings all this whiteness down, and it makes it look a bit like the Z10 or the Nick or the 16X, where you've got that sort of perspex, black perspex cover over the lights. It looks really nice, but it didn't dry, it didn't cure, and basically it was just, even after 2 days, it was just sticky to the touch. So I think it was reacting to the silicone that covers these, and it just wasn't drying. So unfortunately, as good as that looks, it's not practical. So the only other option I'm going to try, and I'm waiting for it to come in, is the old faithful clear film, like plastic headlight tint film. We could have some problems with these pretty severe curves we got here, but if I apply some heat carefully to it, I might just get away with it. We'll see how it goes. But I'm going to just try vinyl tinting these with headlight tint trim. If it doesn't work, I'll just peel it off, and I'll have to live with it as it is, but I'm going to give it a go because it doesn't cost bugger all anyway. So it's a few quid for enough for what I need. So I'll give it a go. If it does work, I'll add it to the video. If it doesn't, this is probably just how I'll leave it. What you do get, the same as when I did the MSX with these strips, so you end up with 2 remotes. One for front, one for rear. Look, I've even put it on there because I'm a bit of an idiot. Look, rear, front. There are different kits out there, guys, be careful. I didn't look too carefully at these, but basically they are very different. What you've got on this one is DIY settings, so whatever mode you find on the light sequence, you can save it, and it's really easy to flick between ones you've saved, which if you only want about 3 or 4 different modes is really handy. Otherwise you've got to go through like 350 odd modes to get the one you want. This one doesn't have it. It's bizarre how it works, because you've got brightness instead, which is a bit weird. So it looks like you can either have brightness or you can have DIY, looking at the button configurations. I would say the ability to save your modes is probably more beneficial than having brightness, to be honest with you. The way that I've rigged this up, because I bought one before the other, so for the rear I've used this one because I'm never going to need to change the modes on the rear. It's always going to be red. On the front, I don't know, I might play about with it. I might have some blue ones or something just to piss the old bill off, but it gives me the option of playing about with some stored ones. With the back, it's not really a problem for me, so I've used this one for the rear, this one for the front, but I would probably advise you go for this one, because I don't think brightness is as important as modes. But so there's that. The other thing I wanted to tell you, which I forgot earlier, is this. Now this is probably the cheapest, best tool you'll ever have in your toolbox. Look at that. What a piece of shit, right? That is actually a piece of oh god, what was it? Copper wire from the earth of a twin and earth normal domestic mains wiring cable, right? So I just had an offcut from some old job I did years ago, and without this I couldn't have fed the wires underneath through here and then up the wheel. So with this I fed it down first, routed it round, taped the wires to the bottom, and then pulled it through. And there is, honestly, trust me guys, there is no way you will ever be able to get 3 wires through such small holes in an S-curve without this, right? And honestly, it goes in the toolbox, sits in there with all the other crap I got in there. But I tell you what, I learned many years ago about using these for when I was in the motor trade, for feeding wires through bulkheads and door skins and everything else. Either that or a bit of welding rod or something. It will save you so much headache, honestly. But yeah, so it was that, just to get those wires up on that S-bend, because the strip comes down here, then it bends into the wheel there and then up the wheel. So just this crap down here, you'll never feed it through, otherwise it'd be impossible. You'd be pulling your hair out. So yeah, just a little tip there guys. What was the other thing I had? Oh, one more tip. I can't remember what the guy's name was on the forum, but thanks goes to him. He suggested not using the original adhesive that's on the back of these. It is on there actually. I might have to pull it off, but because these curves are so tight here, the original adhesive is a really thin double-sided adhesive, and it's not too good. So he suggested to use an additional or replacement thicker sponge-like 3M double-sided adhesive. I bought this stuff. This is about 1/2 inch. It's about, well, pretty much bang on the same width as that. 12, I think it's about 12 mil, 12.5 mil, something like that. And this stuff, honestly, is really good. I mean, I've always liked 3M stuff anyway. It's not the cheapest, but it always works. But I've never used this 3M VHB. This is a double-sided foam tape. And it is really, really good, guys. I tell you what, you could stick a car on the roof of your shed with this. It's unbelievable. If I could recommend any particular bit of this conversion, this is really handy just to have in your workshop. Get hold of some of this, it's really good. VHB it is. Never heard of it before. It's the first time I've used it. I've used 3M double-sided tape before, but I've never used VHB, and it's yeah, really good. So there we are. It's all done. It's all up and running. These do seem incredibly bright, I must admit. I mean, on camera they're probably not, but let's put the yeah, I mean they're almost as bright as the headlight, to be honest with you. I mean, obviously that will tone down a lot. If I get this tint film on them, it will tone them down an awful lot, but that's no bad thing. But you can turn these down as well. I mean, these are max brightness at the moment. You can turn them down quite easily with the remotes. Well, on one of them you can, on the brightness on one of them. yeah, so overall I reckon it's come out all right. But yeah, if I find a solution to the tint film working, I'll add that to this vid, and I'll just stitch it into this vid and go from there. But if not, I'll probably just leave it as it is and live with it. But yeah, so there we are, guys. If you want to do a conversion, parts wise, it's not a lot of money. I mean, off the top of my head, we've probably got about 50 quid's worth of gear, I suppose. But time wise, yeah, it's a bit of a faff, but honestly there's nothing on here which is difficult, guys. This is basic soldering stuff. Everything I've done is basic. If you can use a soldering iron, then you're done. And you've got a drill and some drill bits. You can go through the bottom here, down here, just to get through into the battery enclosure. I did have to extend the wires, but I mean, you know, you can buy bits of wire anywhere. So I just extended the original wires to go up to the wheel, up to the top. A few Dean's connectors, as I said earlier. Tap into the board, job done. It's not complicated. It's no rocket science here, that's for sure. But I think it looks quite neat, actually. It looks all right. But yeah, okay, guys. Cheers for that. Well, if I get anything more, I'll add to this video. If not, cheers for watching. Okay, managed to get some tint film on there. It's basically this stuff. This is Headlight tint film. This is a medium, described as medium tint. They do a light and a dark. But looking at this, I could probably have got away with the dark one, to be honest with you. But you can see the difference. I mean, especially in the shade. They're a lot darker. When you get some light on them, it's not so different, but that's obviously the untouched one, and that's the tinted one. It does take the edge off it a bit, I have to say. It's quite nice. I think I'd prefer it darker though, just so you hardly see them at all, really. But it does go on really well, actually. It's 3 layers, so you've got a sticky surface and then a protective layer and then the tint layer. I just cut a strip of it and put it on, but with a heat gun as well, you can get it really it's quite pliable, and it's very similar to vinyl, actually. When you're applying vinyl, if ever you've applied vinyl to cars, turn that flash off, see if it makes a difference. Yeah, if you put vinyl on cars, it behaves very similar. It's very pliable once you get some heat into it, and it sticks really well onto the silicone strips. So yeah, I think that's an option. Let's just turn it on, see if it... Yeah, I mean, it's hardly dented the light output at all. Slightly, maybe, but not that it really matters. As I said previously, these are so bright, these LEDs. Yeah, it's taken the edge off, but it's still bright enough for me. I suspect it would still be bright enough even with the dark tint on there, to be honest with you. But yeah, I don't know, maybe I'll run it for a bit with that on. I'll do the other 3. I'll run it for a bit with the light tint, see how I feel with it. If I fancy changing it, it's no big sweat to just peel it off and go for the darker tint. But yeah, looks all right. Okay, so here we have version 2 of the tint. On the left is the dark, it's virtually black, and on the right is the medium that was shown previously. This is the tint, this is the dark, and it is fairly dark compared to the medium. that is actually very close to what I was looking to get from the beginning. Actually, you can see that the light output is obviously reduced by now, even compared to the medium, and the medium took out a bit. But this, for me, is enough. Especially I'm videoing this in daylight, guys, so at night I think this is going to be plenty bright enough for me anyway. And when the wheel's off, hold on. These strips are totally black. You can't see anything through this at all, which is kind of how I like it, because it actually blends in fairly nicely to the black next to it, the black roll bar. You can see the difference, and that's with the medium tint on it. So that is what I was looking for. That looks a lot more factory to me. I mean, yeah, everyone's different. Your mileage may vary, as always. You might prefer no tint, go for a low even. I've not shown you the low tint. I've only had medium and high, or medium and dark rather. You might be happy with the low, the medium, the high, or none at all. But for sure the dark completely covers those LEDs. You can't see them at all now when they're off, and I think that looks pretty smart and stealthy. So yeah, that's what I'm going to stick with. I've just done the one for the moment. I'm going to do the other three and then call it job done. This stuff I bought 60cm by 30cm strips, or sheets, whatever you want to call it, and these were like £3.40 delivered. So obviously it's more than enough here to do 4 lights. I mean, I bought 2 obviously because I bought the medium as well first, but yeah, if I get the medium out, bear with me and I'll show you them next to each other. Okay, so that's the dark, that's the medium. You can see there's quite a bit of difference there. I don't know how light the light would be. I imagine it'd be really light, but putting those two on a white background, you can see the difference. But yeah, I just bought off eBay from these guys, VT Suppliers. They've got loads of different widths and sizes and everything else, but as I said, 60 by 30cm, that's what I bought. £3.40ish or thereabouts. More than you need, and goes on really well. I think it's very pliable. So yeah, I'll do the other 3 and then I'll we'll see what it looks like. Let's just pop it on again. Yeah, I mean, the fact you can see them quite easily in the daylight means they're going to be fine at night. But you do lose a lot of light output. But remember, I said right at the beginning, these are crazy bright, guys. I mean, there's the fronts with the mediums on. So I'll put the darks on those as well. Then I'll do a final video, thankfully, after I've been dicking around with this enough now, trying to sort this. It's a service we provide, you know. And then I'll get a final video with it all, with them all done, and we'll go from there. Cheers, guys. Right, it's finally done. Wheel's completely finished at last. And there you go, the strips. I said you can barely see them. You've got the strip here next to the rail. So they go all the way around. So yeah, pretty stealthy. Right up to the top there. Go through the mudguard here. bit shiny, the old coating, to be honest with you, but probably shinier than this satin on the roll bar, but I'll live with that. That's the back. The front. That's the front. Go all the way around. But what I'll do is I'll turn the light off in the shed here. I'll turn the wheel on and see what they look like. This will be the first time I've tried this actually in the dark, so we'll see. Let's hope we can see them, eh? Struggle to find a button when it's facing the wrong way. There we go. That's not the pattern I'll be using, but that's just one that's in there. That's the front. That's bright enough for me, I've got to say. Back. Oh. That's the back. It's quite nice on the floor because obviously they extend underneath, you get the movement underneath as well. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that, to be honest with you. It's come out alright. About as good as I'm going to get it for a DIY botch up job, but not as nice as a factory install, of course, but that'll do for a knock it up in the shed special. So yeah, job done, finally finished. May give you some inspiration, guys, I don't know, but I just thought I'd whack it up there just so you can see how I've done it. There's obviously plenty of other ways, maybe better, I would say. Yeah. But it's nice having the two separate systems, front and back, because then, as I said, you can get whatever patterns you want independently, front and rear. Adjust the brightness independently, front and rear, whatever you want to do, really. So, but yeah, see what you think. If you fancy having a go, as I said, none of it's rocket science, it's just faffing about, really. But yeah, anyway, take care, guys. See you later.